Nah, Jay-Z, that freestyle wasn't it, bro. That wasn't the one, bro. Just stop it. Now the Roots Picnic freestyle was that was better than this one. But this one, I'm starting to see what you're doing. You starting to notice that because you brought up Twitter activists. You starting to notice that people ain't receiving you like they once received you, and you can't pay radio programs and certain shit to manipulate the masses.
For years, Jay-Z was viewed by many as one of the most influential figures in music and business. But recently, a new wave of criticism has reignited an old controversy: his relationship with the NFL and the fallout surrounding Colin Kaepernick's protest movement. The debate intensified after comments attributed to Jay-Z about Colin Kaepernick resurfaced online, prompting renewed discussion across social media. Critics argued that Jay-Z's partnership with the NFL conflicted with the message Kaepernick had stood for, while supporters maintained that working with the league created opportunities to push for change from within. At the center of that debate was broadcaster Nessa, Kaepernick's longtime partner, who has publicly criticized the NFL partnership and defended Kaepernick's legacy. Now fans are once again asking, was this simply a disagreement over strategy, or has the story been misunderstood all along? In today's video, we'll examine the public statements, the timeline of events, and the claims that have circulated online. We'll separate documented facts from speculation, explore why this controversy continues years later, and look at why the names Jay-Z, Colin Kaepernick, and Nessa remain closely connected whenever conversations about activism, the NFL, and celebrity influence return to the spotlight. For many people, the story didn't begin with a rap lyric or a social media debate. It began years earlier when Colin Kaepernick's decision to kneel during the national anthem became one of the most polarizing moments in modern sports. His protest against racial injustice sparked nationwide conversations, but it also effectively brought his NFL career to a halt. As time passed, Kaepernick became a symbol for many supporters of athlete activism. Then, in 2019, Jay-Z entered the conversation in a major way by announcing a partnership between Roc Nation and the NFL. He explained publicly that the partnership was intended to create opportunities through entertainment and social justice initiatives. While some welcomed the move, others questioned whether working with the league sent the wrong message after Kaepernick's experience. One of the loudest critics was broadcaster Nessa, Colin Kaepernick's longtime partner. Through interviews and social media, she argued that the NFL had not properly addressed the issues Kaepernick had raised and criticized the partnership with Jay-Z. Her comments quickly became part of a much larger debate over whether meaningful change comes from working inside powerful institutions or by continuing to challenge them from the outside. Years later, the discussion resurfaced after Jay-Z made comments during a public performance that many online interpreted as referencing Colin Kaepernick. Those remarks immediately reignited old arguments across social media. Some people defended Jay-Z, pointing to his charitable work and long history of business investments in Black communities. Others accused him of unfairly comparing his own approach to Kaepernick's activism. As the debate intensified, many online commentators claimed Jay-Z was trying to reshape the public narrative surrounding the NFL controversy. Supporters argued he was highlighting a different path toward progress, while critics believed he was minimizing Kaepernick's role in bringing attention to racial injustice. Nessa earlier criticism quickly returned to the spotlight. Because she has consistently defended Kaepernick's legacy, many people revisited her previous statements and questioned whether the disagreement between her and Jay-Z had ever truly been resolved. At its core, this controversy is about more than two famous names. It reflects a larger question that continues dividing public opinion: should lasting change come through protest, or through working with established institutions to influence them from within? In the next part, we'll examine the specific public claims that reignited this debate, what is documented about Colin Kaepernick's settlement with the NFL, and how those events fueled another wave of online reactions. As the renewed debate spread online, one issue quickly became the center of attention: what actually happened between Colin Kaepernick and the NFL? Supporters of Jay-Z and supporters of Kaepernick began sharing completely different versions of the story. Some social media users claimed Kaepernick accepted a large payment to stay quiet, while others argued that narrative ignored what had actually been reported. The transcript reflects that disagreement. It references Jay-Z's comments suggesting that Colin Kaepernick accepted a settlement from the NFL and mentions online discussion about whether that included restrictions on future criticism. It then presents the opposing view, stating that Kaepernick filed a grievance alleging NFL teams had conspired against him and that the case ultimately ended in a settlement rather than a public courtroom battle. The transcript also states that Kaepernick continued speaking publicly after the settlement, describing claims that he was paid to remain silent as disputed rather than established fact. Those competing narratives immediately fueled another wave of reactions. Supporters of Kaepernick argued that his protest had already changed the national conversation long before Jay-Z partnered with the NFL. From their perspective, Kaepernick sacrificed his playing career to draw attention to racial injustice, making later criticism of his actions difficult to accept. Meanwhile, supporters of Jay-Z pointed to his public record of philanthropy, business investment, and community programs. They argued that his approach focused on creating opportunities through economic investment and long-term partnerships rather than continuing public confrontation with the league. That difference in philosophy became the heart of the controversy. One side believed meaningful progress required continuing to challenge institutions from the outside. The other believed lasting change could come by working with those same institutions from within. As the debate intensified, Nessa earlier criticism once again gained attention. She had publicly questioned the NFL partnership when it was announced and consistently defended Kaepernick's role in the movement. Because of those earlier statements, many social media users viewed Jay-Z's later remarks through the lens of that unresolved disagreement. The transcript also includes strong opinions from commentators who accused Jay-Z of prioritizing business relationships over activism. Those statements reflect the speaker's opinions and criticisms rather than established facts. They are part of the broader public debate but should not be interpreted as independently verified conclusions. Ultimately, the disagreement wasn't simply about one interview or one performance. It became a larger conversation about legacy, leadership, and how public figures should balance activism with business opportunities. Years after the original controversy began, those questions continue dividing opinion across sports, entertainment, and social media. In the next part, we'll examine how public perception of Jay-Z changed over time, why older controversies resurfaced alongside this debate, and how social media amplified every new comment into another headline. For years, Jay-Z enjoyed a reputation as more than just a music icon. He was widely viewed as a successful businessman, a cultural leader, and someone who had built an empire while supporting charitable causes and business initiatives. But as social media grew more influential, public opinion became increasingly divided. The renewed controversy surrounding Colin Kaepernick brought many older debates back into the spotlight. Online users began revisiting Jay-Z's partnership with the NFL, his comments about activism, and his public interviews. Every new clip that surfaced was analyzed frame by frame, with supporters praising his efforts to work within the system while critics argued that he had abandoned the message Kaepernick helped bring to the national stage. The transcript reflects this divide by presenting strong criticism from commentators who argue that Jay-Z's actions have benefited his own business interests more than the communities he says he supports. These are the speaker's opinions and should not be understood as verified factual conclusions. Another reason the controversy gained momentum was social media itself. Platforms like X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube allowed old interviews, speeches, and performances to resurface almost instantly. A single quote could become a trending topic within hours, leading thousands of creators to offer their own interpretations. In many cases, the discussion became less about newly verified information and more about how different audiences interpreted the same events. Nessa earlier statements also returned to public attention. Because she had consistently defended Colin Kaepernick and questioned the NFL partnership, Many people revisited her previous posts and interviews whenever Jay-Z's name became part of a new controversy. Her position remained largely consistent. She believed Kaepernick's protest had been misunderstood and deserved greater recognition. At the same time, Jay-Z's supporters continued pointing to his long history of philanthropy, criminal justice reform initiatives, and investments intended to expand economic opportunities. They argued that measuring his impact required looking beyond one controversy and considering his broader record. Critics, however, viewed the situation differently. Some believed Jay-Z's partnership with the NFL sent the wrong message because Kaepernick had not returned to the league. Others argued that business partnerships with powerful institutions should not replace public accountability. Those disagreements became central themes in countless online debates, reaction videos, and opinion pieces. The transcript also includes commentary linking Jay-Z to unrelated public controversies and broader criticism of his public image. Those remarks represent commentary and personal opinion rather than verified findings, and they should not be interpreted as factual proof of wrongdoing. As the conversation expanded, it became clear that this was no longer simply about Jay-Z or Colin Kaepernick. Instead, it had become a broader discussion about celebrity influence, activism, business partnerships, and the expectations people place on public figures who choose to speak on social issues. In the next part, we'll examine why this debate continues years later, what both sides believe they are defending, and how public perception has become one of the biggest factors shaping this ongoing controversy. As the controversy continued to resurface, it became clear that the disagreement was no longer just about two high-profile figures. It had evolved into a broader conversation about leadership, accountability, and what real activism should look like when celebrities become involved. Supporters of Colin Kaepernick argue that his peaceful protest came at an enormous personal cost. After kneeling during the national anthem to protest racial injustice and police brutality, he remained unsigned by NFL teams, leading him to file a grievance against the league. To many, Kaepernick became a symbol of sacrificing a career for a cause. Supporters of Jay-Z see the situation differently. They argue that partnering with powerful institutions can create opportunities to influence change from within. They point to Jay-Z's investments, philanthropy, and business initiatives as examples of using economic influence to support communities. From this perspective, activism and business are not mutually exclusive, they can work together. The transcript highlights how these competing viewpoints continue to collide online. It includes commentary criticizing Jay-Z's business decisions, including his partnerships with major corporations and the NFL. However, these remarks reflect the opinions of the speakers and commentators featured in the transcript rather than independently verified facts. At the center of the discussion remains Nessa. For years, she has consistently defended Colin Kaepernick's legacy and challenged the idea that the NFL partnership represented meaningful progress. Whenever Jay-Z makes public comments related to activism or the NFL, many social media users revisit Nessa's earlier criticism, arguing that the disagreement between the two perspectives was never fully resolved. Social media has amplified every new development. A short interview clip, a freestyle lyric, or a podcast discussion can generate millions of views within hours. Soon, thousands of creators begin offering their own interpretations, making it increasingly difficult for audiences to distinguish between verified reporting, opinion, and speculation. The transcript itself demonstrates this pattern. Alongside documented events, it includes sweeping criticisms of Jay-Z's motives, public image, and legacy. Those statements represent commentary and opinion, not factual findings about his conduct. Perhaps the biggest reason this controversy refuses to disappear is that it asks a question with no universally accepted answer. Is lasting change achieved by challenging institutions from the outside, or by working with them from within? Reasonable people have reached different conclusions. Some believe Colin Kaepernick's protest permanently changed the national conversation about racial injustice in sports. Others believe Jay-Z's strategy of engaging directly with major organizations has produced tangible opportunities that public protest alone could not. Whatever position people take, one thing is undeniable. Years after the original controversy began, the debate continues to shape public conversations about activism, celebrity influence, and responsibility. In the final part, we'll bring the entire story together, examine what is actually documented, what remains a matter of opinion, and why this debate continues to resonate with fans today. Years have passed since Colin Kaepernick first took a knee during the national anthem, yet the conversation surrounding his protest continues to shape discussions about sports, activism, and celebrity influence. The renewed attention surrounding Jay-Z has only added another chapter to that story. On one side are those who believe Kaepernick sacrificed his NFL career to stand for principles larger than football. They argue that his protest forced the country to confront difficult conversations about racial injustice and that his impact cannot be measured simply by whether he returned to the league. On the other side are those who believe Jay-Z's approach, building partnerships, investing in communities, and working with major institutions, offers another path toward creating long-term opportunities. They point to his business ventures and philanthropic efforts as evidence that change can also come through economic empowerment. The transcript captures this ongoing divide by presenting strong opinions from commentators who criticize Jay-Z's public image and question whether his partnership with the NFL conflicted with Kaepernick's original message. Those views represent commentary and opinion, not established factual findings. At the center of the debate is Nessa. Over the years, she has consistently defended Colin Kaepernick's legacy and publicly challenged the idea that the NFL partnership represented meaningful progress. Whenever Jay-Z makes comments related to activism or the league, many people revisit her earlier criticism, keeping the disagreement alive years after it first began. Another reason this controversy continues is the speed of modern media. A single interview clip, freestyle lyric, or podcast appearance can instantly become the subject of thousands of reaction videos and social media posts. As more creators add their own opinions, the original facts often become mixed with interpretation, making it difficult for viewers to separate documented events from personal conclusions. That is why context matters. The transcript itself repeatedly combines documented public events with opinion-based commentary. While the opinions expressed have fueled widespread debate, they should not be interpreted as proof of wrongdoing or as verified evidence supporting broader claims. Ultimately, this story is about more than Jay-Z or Colin Kaepernick. It reflects two very different ideas about leadership. One approach emphasizes public protest, personal sacrifice, and holding institutions accountable from the outside. The other emphasizes negotiation, partnerships, and attempting to create change from within established systems. People continue to disagree about which strategy has had the greater impact, and that debate is unlikely to end anytime soon. What remains clear is that Colin Kaepernick's protest changed the conversation around athlete activism, while Jay-Z's partnership with the NFL changed the conversation about how influence should be used after the protests began. Whether those two paths can ever be fully reconciled remains one of the biggest unanswered questions in modern sports and entertainment. In the end, the debate isn't just about the past, it's about how future generations will define activism, accountability, and the role celebrities play in shaping social change. Now it's your turn. After hearing both sides of this controversy, what do you think? Did Jay-Z's partnership with the NFL create meaningful opportunities for change? Or do you believe Colin Kaepernick's original message was overshadowed? And when Nessa continues defending Kaepernick's legacy years later, is she protecting the truth as she sees it, or keeping an old debate alive? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective, but remember to keep the discussion respectful and focused on publicly available information. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive into the biggest stories in sports, music, and entertainment. Every week, we break down the headlines everyone is talking about, examine what has actually been said publicly, separate documented facts from opinion, and explain why these stories continue to dominate the conversation. Thanks for watching, thanks for your support, and we'll see you in the next video.